The evidence locker is pretty Spartan, but you're able to find the M16 sure enough. It's in one of the taller lockers, of course, within the cage. And you can unhitch it from its post. It has a tag around the barrel, another one around the trigger guard. The gun smells of gunpowder. Remarkable, given it's been over a month since it was used.
I note that to the chief. Hey, this smells like it's been fired recently. Is Peter still around outside?
He's not paying attention anymore. He's gone back to his desk. Could you make a coolness act under pressure check, please, Toby?
10 plus 2, 12.
You've not held an M16 in quite some time. And now that you're hefting it, and you're picking up that smell, the familiar odour of gunpowder, it's sending you to a faraway place. A place you haven't, or you've tried not to think of for quite some time. It's reassuring. It's funny Brent mentioning the olfactory senses earlier. It's like smelling fresh bread in a baker's shop and returning to your childhood, but for you it's smelling gunpowder and gasoline and the musk of desert sand, the sweat of other men. You can hear it pounding in your ear. It's not a sound of gunfire or shells exploding, but just your pulse thrumming. There's something... You don't want to necessarily put it down to anything mystical, but there's something potent to this weapon. Something familiar in your hands that feels warm and comforting, yet somehow threatening with it.
Yeah. And I'm taken back. And I feel what I felt back then. I have come to realize that really was the best time in my entire life. I was never as alive as I was then. I never felt as much meaning as I did together with my brothers. It was us, together, protecting each other. We kept each other alive. You don't do that back in the real world. It was special. I really miss it. I think to myself as I hold this weapon, but there's more than that. There's this feeling of power, of holding this remarkable piece of craftsmanship. It's beautiful, and I sort of remember the amount of times I've field stripped weapons just like this, how I know every part of it, how I could put this together in a very, very short time if I wanted to. And you hear me say, "Hoorah, get some, Chief." And then I kind of come back to reality again.
Just before you step fully back into our world, our Elysium, can you make a soul roll, please? See through the illusion.
That is 6 plus 4 minus 2. 8.
You suddenly find yourself dropping the gun as it feels red hot. One of your hands was on the barrel, and it sears your palm as if it was literally fired within the last few seconds. And so with a loud clatter, it hits the floor of the evidence locker, drawing everyone's attention. Could you drop your stability to uneasy, please?
I will. I scream and I look at my hand where it burned. Is it looking red, or is this all my head? What the fuck?
No, it is indeed looking livid.
And I just show it to the chief. The fuck? The weapon, it's hot. Feel it.
I initially give Toby a very odd look as I came in and he started saying, a few weird things. How does he look? And when I look at his hand, what do I see?
You see the same scorch marks on his hand. Bright pink to red, as if he had just placed it on a hot stove.
What the fuck? Put the gun down. Put the gun back. Put it back.
Yeah, I try to pick it up carefully, and I begin putting it back. Someone must have just fired it, but it's impossible. It's hot, like it was fired minutes ago.
Everything okay over there, Chief?
No, get someone in there with some gloves. He's saying someone just fired the gun. Let me have a look. I will go myself to poke at the gun very carefully.
Could you make a soul roll as well, please?
8.
You get the same sensation, and it takes you aback. It's a feeling you haven't felt in a long time, having to discharge your weapon, and the last time you did wasn't under circumstances you wish to remember. Yet that is where you are right now, as you just put a fingertip to the gun to see whether that sensation is real. You catch a flash of a memory you have been trying so hard to suppress, of a young woman, glasses askew on the bridge of her nose, her hair a mess, her mascara running. She has been wailing, screaming, begging. Her hands are up beside her head, but they are shaking. They don't believe mercy is coming. She is on her knees, and that is your service weapon pointing at her head. Much as Patrick Wilson was pointing this M16 at the head of Ashley Dapperton. Except in your memory, the flashback ends as you pull the trigger, and the girl's head caves in, starting at the temple. And then you're back in the evidence locker. Peter Cox has stormed over to the both of you as you both stand there shaken. In your case, Dwayne, I need you to not just drop to uneasy, but to unfocused. What the hell is going on here? First I hear you dropping evidence, then I'm hearing you calling me over saying the gun's been fired. What? And he catches a look at Dwayne's face. Dwayne, are you okay? You look like you're about to be sick. Do you need me to get you to the restroom?
I stutter for a moment, feeling like I've just been punched straight in the gut, thinking back on that memory about how that it all went wrong. It wasn't supposed to happen. I lost control. I lost control of the situation, but fuck, that's not what's important. And then I kind of just am back in the present.
Carol, your dad's sick. Come over here.
No, Peter, the gun's... It's fucking... I look at my own finger. Do I have a burn?
Yes, you do. On your fingertip. It's already rising to become a blister.
Gun's fucking hot, Peter. What have you been doing with it? What the fuck?
You lower your voice.
You touch the gun, Peter. Touch that gun and you tell me it's not... Look at my finger. Look at his hand.
He puts his fingertips on the gun. He slaps it. He grips it. Ain't no heat on this gun barrel. Dwayne? Toby? I don't know what you're playing at.
Look at this. I mean, how... I don't know, but I'm telling you, it was scorching hot, like it's just been fired. I know it's impossible. It was locked in the evidence locker, obviously, but...
What's going on, Dad? What's going on?
I look confused. I look at Toby, and then I look disbelievingly at him as I listen to Peter, and I almost ignore Toby as I say to Peter quietly, the gun ain't hot, but Toby told me the gun was hot. I touched it.
Dad! Carol is in your face. Dad, snap out of it. You're causing a scene. Get outside, get some fresh air. And you too, and she looks at Toby. I don't want to have to put both of you in the drunk tank, but you're speaking like you're on something right now. I'll handle the paperwork and sign the gun back in.
Yeah, you're right. It's time to go, Chief.
I'll call you later, Dad, okay?
I have no words. My daughter's telling off of me just makes me fall over like a stack of bricks. I just kind of just mumble, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah. And I just start walking away.
The two of you leave the police precinct and take seats on the steps outside. A very unusual set of events. Completely inexplicable. There's no reason for what you've just gone through. No logic behind it. That gun was definitely hot. It definitely had the odour of a gun just fired, but as you pointed out, Toby, that couldn't have been. Even if it had been fired within 5 minutes of your arrival at the precinct, you had spent enough time bumbling around, picking through reports that it wouldn't have retained that heat, even if it had retained the odour. There is no explanation for why the gun should have felt and smelt the way it did. And so it leaves the both of you very confused and troubled by what you've just encountered. And for you, Dwayne, that memory, you can't get her face out of your mind now, that young woman. And you didn't want it to go down that way. Yeah, but what choice did you have?
I didn't have a choice. She didn't let me have a choice. She just didn't listen, and fucking Jessica and the whole situation, but it's in the past, and I'm just thinking that to myself as I glare at Toby and say, what did you do to the gun? You did something. You had to have done something. What'd you do?
Look, Chief, I wish I had done something, because that would at least explain what the hell happened. There's no way that could have been real. That gun had not been fired, but it sure smelt that way, and we both have the injuries to prove that it was scorching hot. Something is really not right. I don't know. I don't know, Chief. I don't know.
Well, the good news is we ain't going back to the police station. I made a complete ass of myself. Fuck. It's not important. It's not important. Something is happening, and we need to look into it, and that's what we're gonna do. So that's what we're gonna do. And we're not gonna talk about guns that are on fire, but they're not on fire, because Peter picked that gun up and he was fucking fine, so...
Yeah, but we couldn't both be crazy, right? I mean, not in the same way. No, there's more to this, but perhaps this is why they want to look into this, huh? Maybe there really is more to all this than just a normal school shooting.
I take a few deep breaths, trying to center myself, trying to find myself again, because this was not expected today. And I say, okay, we need to
speak to some of the witnesses, right?
Yeah.
I think I can get a hold of Ashley. I mean, Uncle Stan, he can help. I think. I mean, I'm sure he won't be super happy about it. It's his daughter, after all, but I mean, he knows why we're doing what we're doing, and he gave us carte blanche, so that should extend to having a chat with his daughter, I guess.
Yeah, we could do that. And also, Dubois. Where did Dubois live? I want to know where he lived. I want to know who he associated with. I want to know all about him.
Well, I mean, the phone book would probably still have his address. I mean, it wasn't that long ago since he died. Should be able to find the place.
I suppose we have to talk to his friend as well, Hussein. Not that the kid probably knows fuck all, but I don't know, maybe something.
If anyone knows Patrick, it would be him, right?
So, are the two of you intending on splitting up, with Toby going to visit Ashley and Dwayne going to investigate the home of Frank Dubois?
I reckon initially I'd probably say that I'm gonna go with Toby, but after what's happened I kind of maybe just grunt and I just say, you You go and you do what you want to do with Ashley. I'm going to do this on my own. Thinking to myself, then I'll know that anything weird going on is not related to Toby.
Sure. Let's meet up later, huh? After we've both investigated our leads.
Toby, do you just swing by the Dapperton household, or are you going to call ahead?
I'm gonna call ahead. My uncle has been very kind to me, and he's, taking care of me. But I mean, it's a relationship that's built a lot on respect. That I respect him, and yeah, I'm gonna call ahead and make sure that he's okay with this. It is a really weird request, but maybe if it's just me, he's gonna be okay with it. I hope so, anyways. So I'll call Stanley.
Toby.
Oh, hey, Stanley. We found some interesting things at the police station.
Oh yeah, such as.
Well, we've gone through the events of the day. We looked at the murder weapon. We found out that there was another set of prints on it. That someone gave the kid the gun. It was not a normal gun either. It was military, M16. There's more to this. I think you're right to be looking into this.
Toby, before you go on,
Sure.
Something I need to say to you that, listen, don't feel you have to be absolutely forthcoming with, you-know-who, if she asks. You're in the team because I need an inside man. I want you to report to me first, and then if she swings by, well, be a little more conservative. I don't know what I can tell you to hold back until you know something. But if you find something about her, bring it to me first. You got that?
I got it. I'll give you the info first, and if it's anything to do with her, for sure, to you first.
Hell, so yeah, you were gonna ask me a question.
So, when we looked at the events of the day, well, we saw that Ashley was pretty much the last one to see him, before he got shot. She survived that, miraculously, huh? It's really lucky.
She is a lucky girl, that's true. I'm supposing you want to speak with her about it.
Look, I know it'd be, bringing back a lot of bad memories.
Toby, I trust you despite your past. I need this looked into. Just be gentle with her.
I will. I'll try not to get her upset. You can trust me.
Yeah. Well, she ain't been back to school since all that happened, so you can find her at the house.
I'll swing by, as soon as I can then, and, see if I can learn anything.
Right you are.
Thank you. And, I hang up, and I will begin making my way to the house to speak with Ashley.
As one would expect, the Dapperton's house is, well, more like a manor. It is the mayoral house and is the property of the city. But Dapperton has been mayor for so long now, it might as well be his. The villa, is probably a more accurate description for it, is on the outskirts of the city. And when you arrive, Toby, you encounter some familiar faces among the servants before you find Ashley sitting in the living room playing on a video game, headphones on.
And as I come in, I try to catch her attention. Hey, Ashley.
She puts a finger up to make you wait.
I sort of take a step back, not wanting to disturb her. I know how important these things can be. She's got to find a good save point.
That's exactly what she's trying to do. And eventually she realises she can just go straight through to the home screen and not lose any of her progress, takes her headphones off, looks up at you from her seated position. To what do I owe this pleasure?
Hey, Ashley, I don't know if you remember me. I mean, of course you do.
I know who you are. I'm guessing you're here to ask how I'm doing and try and get me to go back to school?
No, not to go back to school. I think that's, these things take time.
Well, good, because you're hardly the shining example of how to live your life.
You're right. I'm a real bad example. Don't become like me.
That's what Mom and Dad say, so why are you here? Because I'm guessing you're not here to speak to the servants.
No, I'm here to speak to you, actually. We're trying to learn more about what happened that day. What happened to Patrick? What made him do what he did?
A rather sardonic smile drops when you mention Patrick.
I don't want to push too hard. I understand. Look, what you've gone through. It's the kind of shit that not even over in the war, not even there, did we have to deal with stuff like what you saw.
He was my... I've not told Daddy this, but I guess it's going to come out if you're just going around the town asking questions, but he was my boyfriend,
Oh, I didn't know that. Then you would have known him well.
Well, I thought so. And then, of course, everything changed, and I guess you never truly know someone, do you? I feel like this entire thing's made me grow up by about 10 or 20 years.
That would be the natural way to feel. But, I mean, did you ever... I mean, I guess you never had any idea that he would be capable of something like this, then...
He wasn't a violent... She looks sick saying that. He wasn't a violent kid. He was grown up. He did well at school. He had friends. He had some teachers that really supported him. There are some kids that really stand out that are ugly or stupid or come from poorer families, and yeah, sure, they get picked on. They have a hard time of it. Patrick didn't. I mean, they weren't the wealthiest family, they weren't the most connected, but they weren't outsiders. Patrick was with me, and he wasn't going to get picked on. My point is, we didn't pick on him.
That's good to know. I mean, that's a pattern that's otherwise common, I understand.
Well, that's what those men in women in their suits that came here from DC or wherever were saying. They kept asking me, was he being picked on? Was he being bullied? And then they started asking me, could he have been... Had he ever told me whether he was, sexually abused or on drugs or... It was absolutely stupid questions. It was like they were asking me a survey. They said, did I think he may have been secretly gay, or a Satanist, or dabbling in witchcraft? All these stupid questions, as if any of that could explain any of what happened. And the answer was no. He wasn't gay. He wasn't taking it up the ass. He wasn't on drugs. He was just a kid like me, and he was... And she is clearly in a nervous state, wringing her hands, now just staring ahead, eyes bulging a little as she's stuttering over her words.
Yeah, Thank you for being, so open about this. I know it must take a lot. Can you just tell me what happened that day? I don't want you to have to relive it, but it might help.
I relive it every single. Listen, I'm going to tell you what happened, okay? And maybe that'll be the end of it.
I hope it will be.
I was in the bathroom, heard the gunshots. I hid, first of all, and then stupid, I remember thinking, and it was a really stupid thing to think, I remember thinking, if I'm gonna get shot, I don't want to die breathing in the smell of piss and shit and someone finding my body in the girls' toilets. And so I made a run for it. As I peeked around the corner of the door and I could see him, but he was so close I had to run. And so I ran because his back was turned, and I was so panicked I tripped and I fell, and my ankle was immediately shooting with pain. And I couldn't pull myself up, and it was too late. I couldn't even crawl because Patrick was standing over me, and it was like he had changed. I think I must have started hallucinating or something, because it was like he wasn't Patrick anymore. He was someone else. He looked like he hated me and that he was hurt, but he was laughing. His head kept bending back almost too far, and just laughter coming out, and he aimed his gun at my head, and so stupid, I closed my eyes and I started praying, and I don't believe in God. And then I heard gunshots, and somehow I was still alive.
That's dreadful.
Like I said, I'm telling you this because you're family, I guess. But I wouldn't tell Dad. I have, and she disappears briefly. She heads to her bedroom, but comes back quickly with a sheaf of paper. I've been drawing this face every night. I've been waking up. The doctor my dad has sent me to said that I need to write down my feelings, and all I can really write down is the face that I keep seeing when I dream of what Patrick did. And it isn't his face. It is this, and she puts the paper in your hand. And I'm not going to give this to the doctor because I'll be locked up somewhere in some institution like Dad did to Mom that time. And I just don't know who this is. It's like I keep hallucinating it. I keep having this dream of this man being where Patrick was, laughing. And I don't know who it is. I don't know. I've never seen this face before except in my dreams.
Thank you. I think that's really important. And I mean, I know it doesn't mean much coming from me, but I really don't think you're crazy. I really don't think that there's anything wrong with you. There's something really odd about all this. I don't need to burden you with any more info than that, but just know that we're going to find out what happened, and we're going to make sure that the truth comes out. All right? Okay.
I know it's what they always say before they get a straitjacket, but I'm not crazy. I still have nightmares, that's all. And I'm sure I will get better. I just need time to get better. That's why I'm playing this Animal Crossing thing. It's a game. Stupid. I keep saying it's stupid. It was a game Patrick was playing, and I keep thinking I need to do things that don't make me think of him. But I want to think about him how he was, and hope that this wasn't some plan of his, that he always planned to shoot me, or that he was going to kill a bunch of people, that it was just a switch that flicked one morning and he just changed. But I don't know, that terrifies me, that people could do that he did that.
It's not a stupid game. Some of the guys over there, they played it. It helped them. I hope it'll help you. There's good stuff in the world too, and it's good to be able to escape somewhere safe.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Toby. I'm sure. Yeah.
I hope I'll see you later, Ashley, and under better circumstances, and all this will be behind us, huh?
Yeah.
You enjoy the game, huh? I'll leave you.
She puts her headphones back on and plays, but is doing so in a very distracted manner now.
And I will leave the Dapperton home.
In that case, we will now go to Dwayne McLean. It's an easy enough thing to find out where Frank Dubois was living. While you are aware from your work with the police that many of his items, his personal possessions from the day of the shooting, would still be at the police department as evidence. His house is open to you. It's a large building, much too big for one person. From what you know of Frank Dubois, bearing in mind you have a passing knowledge of pretty much every individual in the town. His wife and 2 daughters left him somewhere around a decade ago, but he never moved.
Yeah. Yes, I've been driving over, I recall that, which is good, because I didn't want to talk to no witnesses. No, I wanted to get in that house and have a little private look, just for myself, because maybe it's a complete waste of time, but something about what Toby was saying. He shot him the most. And that, with all the analytical bullshit, I know that, he's right, that's emotion, that's something going on where you deliberately do that. It's not just coincidence. And that's what I'm thinking, although I'm also very distracted because I'm gonna hear it from Carol, I'm gonna hear it from Peter, I'm gonna hear it from everyone. I can't believe I acted like that in the station. I completely blew the whole being discreet thing. And fucking Jessica Inzio, she's the only reason I'm even doing this. But I try and keep that frustration out of my mind and focus on this task.
You park in the driveway and make your way up to the front door. There was an alarm system on the building, but the cables you can see approaching, no roll required, are cleanly cut. Whether that means suspicious activity or whether it means cops or the Bureau have already accessed the building and just didn't want to trigger any alarms, you don't know. But the alarm is definitely shut off. The door is locked, but you know your way through into these buildings. You can often take a window or smash a conservatory door if you need to. Hell, no one's living here now, so who's going to complain?
Exactly. I'll park my car, take a moment to make sure, just in case no one's looking at me, although at the same time it's the middle of the day and I'm an officer of the law, so me casually walking into a crime scene house, potentially, shouldn't be too suspicious. So I'm just gonna stroll up nice and easy, let myself in.
Okay. Tell me how you are gaining entry to the building.
Well, I'll stroll up to the front, but then I'll just mosey on around the back, hoping that the back door probably wouldn't be locked. Hopefully not.
Could you make a perception roll, please? Observe a situation.
11.
Very nice. As you make your way around the back of the house, you see there's the usual array of flora, some flower beds that are frankly overgrown, and a vegetable garden that's ill kept, some bushels, and what you notice is the wall behind one of those bushels, in the foundations of the house almost. There's some paintwork on it, like someone has attacked it with a brush and drawn a crude word or a series of numbers. But it's difficult to see through the bush.
Huh. That is a little weird, I think to myself. I'll actually stop looking for the door and go over and try and, again, look around. And then attempt to just reach into the bush and clear some of it out of the way. What is this? What does it say?
So it's not a word. It's not numbers. It's more a symbol. Best described as what looks like a sort of old Greek pillar painted in black paint with a U shape atop it, like a bowl. And contained in that bowl is another symbol. No real detail to it, just a small icon that could be an eagle, maybe? Difficult to say. It stretches out in two directions, left and right, with a small head between each wing. And at the bottom of the pillar, you have a crescent moon just jutting out of its base and making its way around almost to complete a circle but stopping short. That's how you first interpret it. And then you think of it another way. Maybe it's not a crescent moon, maybe it's a sickle. And maybe it's not a pillar but a trident or a three-pronged fork. Maybe that's not a U or a bowl on top. Perhaps it is a boat. And maybe the blot on top of it that you first thought to be an eagle with both wings outstretched is a man in a coat reaching out left and right, his head obscured by a hood. It's all very difficult to tell because it is simply black paint on a grey stone wall. But each time you look at it, you're drawing new things from the symbol, what they could mean, and, well, why they would be here. From what you can gauge, this paintwork is not old. It's within the last year, certainly, but you're not a forensics expert. You couldn't exactly date it.
No, that is real strange, I think to myself. Why is this here? Is this just some random graffiti? I had never seen any graffiti like this. I will try and burn the image in my brain, because maybe, I don't know, maybe I'll tell Toby or the lights, like, maybe you could look it up on the computer. These days you can look up all sorts of things on that internet, and maybe this is like there's some meaning to it. I don't know, but okay, I'll take myself out of the bush for now. Don't want to be looking too closely in a bush.
Okay, and you're going to try the back door?
Yes.
Sure enough, it is indeed unlocked.
I knew it. Again, it's a Devonsport. You know, people don't often lock their back doors. They didn't used to at all, but obviously these days it's a bit different. But sometimes, yeah, Dubois, he was a man living by himself. Why would he lock his back door? Okay, good. I'll, discreetly as possible, just nip in.
The house of Frank Dubois reminds you rather sadly, of your own. In the sense that it is too large for one person. It has not really been lived in. This is clearly a house where a man stays and makes a regular journey from one room to the other without truly lingering in parts he doesn't need to. There are photos, old pictures of his daughters, still decorating the walls, whereas pictures of his wife have been destroyed and scattered like trash. That's one thing you never did when your wife died, but maybe if she had chosen to leave you, you may have reacted in a different way. As you poke around, both of his daughters' bedrooms are immaculate, left untouched. From what you can tell, just by looking around the shag of the carpet, he's hardly ever been upstairs. It's a marked difference to how it's worn downstairs. And, in fact, judging from the blankets next to his sofa, he probably slept down there too. His desk, indeed, is in the living room, where his computer and work documents sit. There's no doubt a study in here somewhere, but it doesn't appear he used it. On the wall above his desk is a shelf with photos of award ceremonies showing Frank and his students, as well as trophies from various science competitions around the state. Now this is kept in immaculate condition. Otherwise, the house is largely dirty and in need of repairs. It's been so little attended that things are falling to damp and cobwebs and just the accumulation of grime. There are several empty bottles of whiskey and a large ashtray filled to the brim on his desk.
It's an interesting picture. It's not entirely one I was expecting. I knew he'd been left, but I didn't know he was suffering so much. Even I can tell that from this place. But I look at those pictures in the study and... shit. This doesn't paint a man who does bad things to his students. This looks like a man who takes pride in his work. Maybe that was the only thing he cared about anymore. So why would this kid want to take him down? Was it because of that? Because he's so good with his students? Did he try and help him out in some way? Did they have some sort of relationship? God damn it. I need to look a little closer. I think I'll focus mainly on the areas it looks like he lived in, because looking upstairs, as you said, I don't think there'd be anything up there.
Okay. So tell me what exactly you are looking for, or what exactly you are doing in this lived-in area. To repeat, here's the sofa, the TV, the coffee table. You've got his desk, his computer, his work documents, and you have his photos of him with his students and trophies. That seems to be his lived-in area of the house.
Perhaps we start with a good old-fashioned pat-down. I know how to look for things that are supposed to be hidden. It's my job. Or it's my job. So I'll just do it very quick, very cursory, just start looking behind cabinets, sofas, tapping the floor, tapping the walls.
Okay, could you make an investigate, Ross, a reason, please?
17.
Very nice, Dwayne. You don't find anything that stands out as unusual, no hidden compartments in the floors or walls or anything like that that imply this man may have been trafficking in anything illegal, for instance. But as you're patting around, opening doors, opening drawers, that kind of thing, just to see if there's anything that is deliberately being concealed from someone who were to enter, you do find one locked drawer in his desk.
Now that's interesting. Any sign of a key anywhere?
Not that you have found, even with your remarkable success.
I'll give it a little look over. Does it look like something I could force open?
Yeah, you could force it open. You could use one of the pokers from the fireplace or one of the other tools, or just get a knife from the kitchen. It might take a while, but you could work it open.
I think this over to myself, and if someone comes around asking questions, why was that drawer forced open? Then, anyone could break into an abandoned house, so I'm not going to be worried too much. I will make sure that I put some gloves on. I always carry my police gloves with me and my police jacket. And then I'll go get a tool and see if I can force this thing open. I want to know what's in that goddamn drawer.
No roll required. It is only a drawer, after all. You just have to take some time so you don't destroy it entirely. And eventually it opens. There's only a couple of things in here. A pack of cigarettes, half empty, and a black journal.
Now that could be interesting. I will gently put aside the poker I used and sit down and have a little look at this journal.
The journal contains entries that go back 6 years. It's a hefty book. And it's not every single day. It is randomly dated, albeit in a linear fashion. It is just as Frank has had something to write, he has written it in this book. And the entries aren't revealing, and you feel it's deliberate. They don't go about naming anyone. They, in fact, don't go about naming any place. It's as if he was writing this down as a disgorging of information, but fully in the knowledge that if someone were to find it, it would be incriminating. So he has left it oblique. Some of the entries, going back as far as 6 years, include scribblings like, "He gives me no rest. The shadows follow him, and I can see them. But what can I do?" And then another entry a few pages on. "Does he know I am watching? I must be careful. If he finds out, I am in big trouble." And 10 pages after that, "If he is a threat to us all, he must be taken care of." 2 pages later, "Tonight is the night. It will be done." Then, "It's done. He will no longer trouble my sleep or anyone else." Some weeks later, according to the dates, "He's back. He made it back. I am fucked." Fucked is in capitals. Then about a month on from that, "Why is he not doing anything? He just watches me." On almost every page in the notebook, Frank Dubois has drawn an odd symbol. It seems crude and primitive, but becomes more and more elegant as it's drawn with more confidence. It's the same symbol you encountered on the back of the house.
My mouth, as I read this journal, just slowly opens more and more, quite idly, because I can't believe this shit. Like, I was this close to when I was driving here, thinking the Dubois hunch I had was stupid. Like he was just this poor teacher, and maybe he gave him a bad report, and that's why Patrick did what he did. But this is something is going on here. He was hiding something. And I'll quickly, seeing, as you said, how hefty it is, just start skimming, and I just want to go to the last couple of pages. What's on the last entries?
As the entries go on, they vary between wild conjecture. Where is he? Is he still watching me? And I feel like he's right outside, but he's doing nothing. To really looking forward to the next prize. We're guaranteed to get this one. And he is such a good student. I have high hopes for his future. And the final one is keeping it together. He's gone. Thank God.
He's gone, keeping it together. I try and mull this all over in my brain. Someone was watching him or following him, and he tried to stop them doing it, and then he didn't, and then he did, and then he didn't, and then this weird little picture he keeps drawing. But what's that got to do with... Is Patrick the student? I sigh as I finish the book and close it and think to myself, this is probably the best thing I'm going to find. I do kind of just look at the computer, but I have a feeling it's gonna have some sort of password. I'll turn it on just to see.
There is a password on the computer. Now, one thing that occurs to you, Chief, as you are staring at the screen and realizing that this computer hasn't been updated since XP, is that journal goes back 6 years. He's referring to this individual that's haunting him, well, way before Patrick Wilson would have been his student.
Yeah, that's true. When did his wife and kids leave him again? Was it around a similar time frame?
10 years ago, from what you understand, but you've never been close to Frank Dubois. You just recall that somewhere around 10 years ago, his wife and kids no longer lived in the area. And then, well, bad gas travels fast in a small town, and it became known that they had chosen to leave. All kinds of rumours surrounded why, that Dubois was an abusive alcoholic, that she had found another man, that he had been in an illicit relationship with one of his students. The usual gossip, but he was never fired. He's never been accused of misconduct by the school or any of its pupils, at least so far as you know. He just appears to have turned into a paranoid, middle-aged man in his solitude.
And yet, the weird picture and the last thing saying it sorted. I'm starting to think maybe it's not something he did to Patrick. Could it be Patrick found out something about him? Maybe, or maybe this person, if it's real, well, someone gave Patrick that gun. Okay. I'll look at the computer, frown a little, close it. Is it like a laptop, or is it like a full big computer with a desktop and everything?
It's a desktop computer.
Yeah, there's no way I'm casually carrying that out, so I'll have to leave that. I put the book in my jacket. That I'm taking with me. But otherwise, I give the place one more look over, but think, no, that's all I think I'm gonna find here. But I found something. This is something. This means something. Something about Mr. Dubois was very wrong. Very strange. Must be connected. Must be.
You have listened to an episode of Red Moon Roleplaying, where we played The Shunned for KULT Divinity Lost, which was written by Jonas Nelson, with additional material from Petanado. The Shunned was released as part of the Screams and Whispers scenario collection. Our game master was our dear friend Matthew Dawkins, and the series has been sponsored by the fine folks at Helmgast. The music was made by H.M. Carceri, featuring a number of collaborations with other artists, and was used with permission from their label, Cryochamber. Check out their website at cryochamber.bandcamp.com or their YouTube channel for some moody dark ambient. We would like to give massive thanks to our champions of the Red Moon: Martin Heuschober, Nastasia Raulerson, Simon Cooper, David, Julián, Camilla, Ludwig Manford, Bob Lange, Julián, Cameron, Xabier, and Antxon for their generous support. And we would of course also like to thank all of our other patrons. Without your support, the show would not be possible. If you want to support our work, please check us out on Patreon. You can get access to bonus campaigns for KULT Divinity Lost and Coriolis there, as well as get early and raw access to all of our recordings. You can also hear your name read on the show as the champion of the Red Moon, as well as play KULT with us. Most importantly, that support is what keeps the show going, so do check us out there. Thank you again for listening, and remember, death is only the beginning.